The yeet technique, accurate, tactical, logical. It's absolutely none of these things, but what it is how inner city drug dealers wage war on each other. Now, the whole yeet cannon meme is sticking so hard because it's actually incredibly true. Yes, it's stereotypical, which if you get triggered by stereotypes, click off this video. It is not for you. So anyway, in order to fully understand why the yeet cannon meme is sticking so hard, I mean, yes, there is like the whole yeet thing on Vine and then that went viral, but that's just how the word actually got in, like, was made up. That's not why the meme is sticking so hard, because it would just be like any other word. It doesn't really matter. So you got to back up to the early 2000s. YouTube does not exist yet. This free gun training and stuff they put out there does not exist yet. What does exist is movies. How do people in movies shoot firearms? What's important? One is a catchphrase.
Barbecue, huh? How do you like your ribs?
You need to yell a catchphrase before you shoot your firearm. It doesn't matter if it's Jean-Claude Van Damme doing his whole... and then a guy comes out and he shoots him, or like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like stick around, and then throws a knife, or Bruce Willis in Die Hard, the whole yippee-ki-yay. The point is, you yell a catchphrase. If you want to make it really good, you add a curse word at the end of it. Second part that's really important in movies is to keep the firearm and your face in frame. So typically, you'll either hold the firearm kind of low, this way your face is above it, so even if the camera's in front, you can still see the firearm in the face, or they'll turn it to the side, have it about head level, so you can still see the firearm in your face, or they hold the firearm high. Now it looks goofy holding the firearm high like this, so you gotta turn it like that, plus it's not so hard to do. Now how they actually shoot the firearm, because they have zero firearm experience, the only time they've ever shot a firearm is when they accidentally put a hole in their mom's bathroom wall. That's the maximum experience they have with a firearm. Remember, these are inner city drug dealers. They're not out in the country like we are, where they shoot basically every single day. Zero firearm experience. And back in 2000, they couldn't even go on the internet and get the firearm experience. So alright, catchphrase, face and frame.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Now they would practice in the mirror, you know, basically trying to be Tupac and coming up with rap songs, pull the magazine down and then they hold it with their pinky, so it looks like they have some sort of high cat magazine, because in the movies, the bigger the firearm, the better it is. Next thing that's big in early 2000s is the 40 cal is hotter than a meth pipe on payday. Like, everybody has a 40 cal. You had to have a 40 cal, and they'd go get their high point 40 cal, and you know it's bigger than a 9. They'd be like, man, this thing's a cannon. 40 cal is huge compared to your 9mm. Way better killer. And then the next thing, they call their high point anything but a high point, because obviously it's one of the cheapest firearms out there, and the reason why you typically see the high points in the back of your gun runner vans is, well, how do you increase profit? You bring down overhead. Other firearms would exist, like Glocks, revolvers, stuff like that, but those were typically stolen out of people's houses or cars by junkies, then traded for dope. So they're a lot more rare. It's just so much easier for a gun runner to go and buy a whole bunch of high points, grind off the serial number so it's not linked to you in any way, shape, or form, and sell them to the people. And it was weird because even the people that could legally own firearms, they would still have illegal firearms when they could have just went to the gun shop themselves, bought a Glock or whatever for the price that they paid for their high point. I don't know, it was just kind of like an inner city mentality. Like, even if you weren't a felon, you had nothing on your record, you'd still have an illegal firearm. Didn't make sense to me, but whatever, I get it. So anyway, you're in your mirror, you're practicing, shooting, doing all your poses, keeping your face in frame. While you're practicing, you're pretending that the firearm has recoil. So in the mirror, you're going like this, like, bat, bat, bat. Yeah, and then, do your rap song, or like, bat, bat, bat. And as everyone knows, in real life, you're only as good as you train. So in real life, that's exactly how they would shoot the firearms too. So I'm going to make this make-believe scene just so you fully understand how the yeet tactic works and why the yeet cannon is sticking so hard with the new high points coming out. Rewind back to the early 2000s. Alright, so you got a 1980 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme, an Alpine head unit, massive amplifier, Pioneer 12s in the back, and you're just bumping like boof, 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 going to meet your guy. But the meet's coming off as weird. Because back then, phone calls were about 10 cents a minute. Even if, like, say you went 1 minute and 1 second, you'd be billed for 2 minutes. So people didn't really use cell phones that much. And very few people had them because the batteries died quick. They were super expensive. So it wasn't like dope dealers today where it was like, yo, dog, where you at? And it's like, oh, I'm at such and such place, but I won't be there. Just call me when you're close to there and I'll tell you where to go from there. No, you scheduled appointments. You could even call a couple of days in advance and they were there at this point when they said they would be. If they did not give you the professional courtesy of being there when they said they would be there, you go to someone else. I mean, you're not talking about buying dime bags here. You're talking about buying a couple of grand in dope. Whether that's boy, soft, hard, doesn't matter. The point is, it's the professional courtesy. So, alright, you're pulling up to the spot where he is, bumping and everything, so he knows you're coming. There's no way he couldn't know you're coming. You can hear your music like 3 blocks away. And you get there, and he's not there. And he's supposed to be there. Completely unusual. Instantly, like, the little voice in the back of your head's like, hey, something's wrong. You're starting to fear that, some sort of dope bust by the cops. Feds, the agents, whatever you want to call them. So they're like, all right, I'm out of here. You start pulling forward, go around the block, and he comes running out like, hey, sorry about that. I got hung up, blah, blah, blah. Makes up some stupid story. Like, all right, get him the cash. He hands you the dope. And as soon as it lands in your hand, again, it doesn't matter what you want to call it. This make-believe dope can be anything. Ron, heroin, boy, soft, hard. The point is as soon as it lands in your hand, you're like, dude, this is too heavy. This is like 30% heavier than it should be. So you're like, hey man, hold on for a second. Instantly takes off on a full sprint. You get out of your car, you're like, yo! And you see muzzle flashes, and he's shooting at you. So you pull out your yeet cannon, and you're like, yeet, mother.
Yeet is an exclamation of excitement, approval, surprise, or all-around energy, often as issued when doing a dance move or throwing something.
And when you shoot, you swing your hand like you got a hammer in it. And on the downswing is when you shoot, because that's how you've practiced. So that's what you're doing. Even though the gun would be making its own recoil, that's what you're used to. So you're like, bat, 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 bat. Your 30-round magazine only actually held 6 shots, so you're out of ammo. Get back in the car and you're trying to fiddle with this, trying to figure out how to get the slide to go forward, but you never actually ran a magazine dry, so you don't know how. So you throw it on your center console and your passenger looks at you, picks his jaw up off the floor and like, dude, did you just yell out loud, then discharge your firearm in the middle of town at 3 in the morning? We need to leave. And that passenger remembers all this. So then when he hears the meme, yeet cannon, he's like, oh my god, that's the perfect description of that firearm. And that's why all the gun owners are banding together and they're like, dude, this needs to be called the yeet cannon. And to be honest, if they do actually name the new high point the yeet cannon, I'll probably just buy one because that's a pretty cool novelty. It's awesome. It fits the gun so perfectly. Yes, it's stereotypical, but it doesn't matter. Stereotypes exist for a reason. Even this model should be renamed to like a yeet cannon or something, because that is so true of this firearm. That's what it needs to be named. Anyway, I hope this kind of helped you understand how the Yeet Cannon meme is so strong and how it's sticking so hard. If you'd like to check out any of my other videos, click on the links up here. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.